Othello, written by William Shakespeare, is a tragedy that explores themes of love, jealousy, betrayal, and racism. Set in the vibrant city of Venice and later on the island of Cyprus, the play follows the life of Othello, a Moorish general in the Venetian army, as his world unravels due to manipulation and deceit. The story is driven by intense emotions and complex relationships, particularly between Othello, his wife Desdemona, and his trusted ensign, Iago. The play begins in Venice, a bustling city known for its trade and military power. Othello, a respected general of Moorish descent, is a key figure in the Venetian army. He's a black man in a predominantly white society, which makes him stand out, but his skill and leadership have earned him admiration. Othello has secretly married Desdemona, a young Venetian noblewoman, despite her father Brabantio's disapproval. Their marriage sets the stage for the drama, as it stirs up prejudice and resentment. Othello is older than Desdemona and an outsider in Venetian society, which makes some people, including Brabantio, question the match. Brabantio, a wealthy senator, is furious when he learns about the marriage, believing Othello used trickery or magic to win Desdemona's love. He accuses Othello of witchcraft, but Desdemona defends her husband, explaining that she loves him for his bravery and the stories of his adventurous life. Meanwhile, Iago, Othello's ensign and a soldier under his command, harbors a deep hatred for him. Iago is one of the most complex and sinister villains in Shakespeare's works. He feels passed over for a promotion when Othello chooses Cassio, a younger and less experienced man, to be his lieutenant. Iago's resentment festers, and he vows to destroy Othello. He's cunning, manipulative, and skilled at pretending to be loyal while plotting behind people's backs. Iago's plan is to ruin Othello's marriage and reputation by making him believe Desdemona is unfaithful. To do this, Iago enlists the help of Roderigo, a foolish young man who's in love with Desdemona and jealous of Othello. Roderigo is easily manipulated, and Iago convinces him to stir up trouble, starting by informing Brabantio of the secret marriage. The situation escalates when Brabantio confronts Othello, demanding answers. The matter is brought before the Duke of Venice, who is dealing with a crisis. The Ottoman Turks are threatening to invade Cyprus, a Venetian territory. Othello is called to defend the island, and during this meeting, he explains how he and Desdemona fell in love. He tells the Duke that Desdemona was captivated by his tales of battles, travels, and hardships. Desdemona confirms this, declaring her love and loyalty to Othello. The Duke, impressed by Othello's honesty and Desdemona's sincerity, dismisses Brabantio's accusations. Brabantio reluctantly accepts the marriage but warns Othello that Desdemona might betray him, planting a seed of doubt. The Duke assigns Othello to lead the Venetian forces in Cyprus, and Desdemona insists on joining her husband, showing her devotion. As the action shifts to Cyprus, the atmosphere changes. Cyprus is a more isolated, military-focused setting, far from the refined streets of Venice. The Venetian forces, including Othello, Desdemona, Iago, and Cassio, arrive to find that a storm has destroyed the Turkish fleet, ending the immediate threat. The island celebrates, but Iago sees this as the perfect opportunity to advance his scheme. He begins by targeting Cassio, knowing that Othello trusts him. Iago gets Cassio drunk during a celebration, knowing Cassio has a low tolerance for alcohol. He then provokes Roderigo into starting a fight with Cassio. The chaos disrupts the peace, and Othello, furious at the disturbance, strips Cassio of his lieutenant rank. Cassio is humiliated and desperate to regain Othello's favor, which Iago uses to his advantage. Iago advises Cassio to ask Desdemona to plead his case to Othello, knowing this will give him material to twist. Iago's plan is to make Othello believe that Desdemona and Cassio are having an affair. He starts planting doubts in Othello's mind, subtly suggesting that Desdemona's kindness toward Cassio is suspicious. Othello, who deeply loves and trusts Desdemona, initially resists these ideas. However, Iago is relentless, using Othello's insecurities as an outsider in Venetian society to fuel his jealousy. Iago points out that Desdemona, a young white noblewoman, might naturally be drawn to someone like Cassio, who shares her background. These manipulations prey on Othello's fears of not being good enough for Desdemona, and the seeds of doubt begin to take root. To make his lies more convincing, Iago fabricates evidence. He tells Othello about a handkerchief, a special gift Othello gave to Desdemona, which he claims to have seen in Cassio's possession. The handkerchief is no ordinary item. It's a cherished heirloom from Othello's mother, symbolizing love and fidelity. Iago plants it in Cassio's room, ensuring it will seem like proof of an affair. When Othello demands to see the handkerchief, Desdemona can't produce it because she's lost it, which Iago exploits to deepen Othello's suspicions. Desdemona, unaware of Iago's scheme, continues to plead for Cassio's reinstatement, which Othello misinterprets as evidence of her affection for Cassio. Iago's lies work because they play on Othello's trust in him and his growing insecurity about his marriage. Othello's transformation is heartbreaking. At the start of the play, he's confident, noble, and in control, a man who commands respect. But Iago's manipulation erodes his self-assurance. Jealousy consumes him, and he becomes obsessed with the idea that Desdemona has betrayed him. He starts to see her kindness and independence as signs of disloyalty. His love for her turns into a mix of rage and despair. In one painful scene, Othello confronts Desdemona, demanding the handkerchief. When she can't produce it, he takes it as proof of her guilt. Desdemona is confused and hurt by his accusations, but she remains loyal, trying to reassure him of her love. Othello, however, is too far gone, his mind poisoned by Iago's words. Iago's web of deceit extends beyond Othello. He manipulates his wife, Emilia, who is Desdemona's attendant, to unknowingly aid his plan. Emilia finds the lost handkerchief and gives it to Iago, not realizing how he'll use it. Emilia is a loyal but practical woman, unaware of her husband's true nature. Iago also keeps Roderigo on a leash, promising him a chance with Desdemona while using him to create chaos. Roderigo grows frustrated, but Iago convinces him to attack Cassio, hoping to eliminate both men and cover his tracks. The plan goes wrong when Cassio survives the attack and Roderigo is wounded. Iago, quick to adapt, kills Roderigo to silence him, ensuring no one can expose his schemes. As Othello's jealousy intensifies, he becomes a shadow of his former self. He publicly humiliates Desdemona, slapping her in front of others and calling her names. This shocks everyone, as Othello was once known for his dignity and love for his wife. Desdemona is devastated but remains steadfast, refusing to abandon her love for Othello even as he treats her cruelly. She confides in Emilia, who defends her innocence and begins to suspect something is wrong. Emilia's loyalty to Desdemona grows, setting the stage for her later role in the story. Meanwhile, Othello's mental state deteriorates. He has seizures, overwhelmed by the torment of his suspicions, and Iago continues to fuel his rage, urging him to take drastic action. The climax of the play is tragic and inevitable. Othello, convinced of Desdemona's betrayal, decides to kill her. He returns to their bedroom, where Desdemona is sleeping, and confronts her one last time. Desdemona pleads her innocence, begging for her life, but Othello's mind is made up. In a heart-wrenching moment, he smothers her with a pillow. The act is not just a murder, but the destruction of the love and trust they once shared. Desdemona's death is one of the most poignant moments in the play, as she dies loving Othello despite his actions. Her final words are of forgiveness, showing her unwavering devotion. Moments after the murder, Emilia discovers the scene and is horrified. She confronts Othello, who admits to killing Desdemona because of her supposed affair. Emilia, realizing Iago's role in the tragedy, exposes his lies. She reveals that she gave Iago the handkerchief, which he used to deceive Othello. The truth comes crashing down. Desdemona was innocent, and Iago orchestrated everything. Othello is devastated, his world shattered by the realization that he was manipulated into killing the woman he loved. Iago tries to silence Emilia by killing her, but her death only seals his fate. The other characters, including Cassio and the Venetian governor, piece together Iago's treachery. Othello's final moments are filled with anguish and remorse. He speaks of his love for Desdemona and his regret for what he's done. He acknowledges his flaws, calling himself a man who loved not wisely, but too well. In a final act of despair, Othello takes his own life, stabbing himself and dying beside Desdemona. His death is a tragic end to a man who was once a hero but fell victim to jealousy and manipulation. Iago, captured and exposed, refuses to explain his motives, leaving his evil a mystery. He's taken away to face punishment, but the damage he's caused is irreversible. The play closes with the Venetian authorities, led by Lodovico, grappling with the aftermath. Cassio is appointed to take Othello's place as governor of Cyprus, and the surviving characters are left to mourn the loss of Othello and Desdemona. The tragedy leaves a lasting impact, not just because of the deaths, but because of what they reveal about human nature. Othello's fall shows how even the strongest people can be undone by their insecurities and the malice of others. Desdemona's death highlights the consequences of prejudice and mistrust, while Iago's actions expose the destructive power of envy and deceit. One of the play's central themes is jealousy, often called the green-eyed monster by Iago. It's a force that drives much of the action, from Iago's resentment of Othello and Cassio to Othello's obsession with Desdemona's supposed betrayal. Shakespeare shows how jealousy can distort reality, turning love into hatred and trust into suspicion. Othello's transformation from a confident leader to a paranoid husband is a stark illustration of this. Iago's ability to exploit this emotion makes him a terrifying antagonist, as he uses words and subtle hints to manipulate others without ever raising a weapon until the very end. Racism is another key theme, woven into the fabric of the play. Othello's identity as a Moor sets him apart in Venice, where he's both admired and judged. Characters like Brabantio and Iago use racial slurs and stereotypes to demean him, reflecting the prejudices of the time. Othello's status as an outsider makes him vulnerable to Iago's manipulations, as he's already sensitive to how others perceive him. The play doesn't shy away from showing how racism shapes relationships and fuels conflict, even if it's not the sole cause of the tragedy. Love and trust are also at the heart of Othello. The relationship between Othello and Desdemona is built on genuine affection, but it's fragile in the face of external pressures. Desdemona's loyalty never wavers, even when Othello turns against her, making her a tragic figure of purity and devotion. Othello's love, while deep, is tainted by his insecurities, which Iago exploits. The contrast between their love and Iago's hatred underscores the play's emotional depth, showing how love can be both a source of strength and vulnerability. Betrayal runs through the story, not just in Iago's schemes, but in how characters perceive each other. Othello feels betrayed by Desdemona, though her betrayal is a lie. Iago betrays everyone: Othello, Cassio, Emilia, and even Roderigo, using their trust against them. Emilia's eventual betrayal of Iago, when she reveals his lies, is a moment of redemption, but it comes too late to save Desdemona. The play shows how betrayal can unravel relationships and lead to irreversible consequences. The setting of the play, moving from Venice to Cyprus, mirrors the shift in tone. Venice represents order and civilization, where Othello's status as a general gives him authority. Cyprus, a remote military outpost, feels chaotic and unstable, reflecting the unraveling of Othello's mind and relationships. The isolation of Cyprus amplifies the character's emotions, with no external forces to intervene in Iago's schemes. The stormy sea that destroys the Turkish fleet also symbolizes the turbulent emotions that drive the tragedy. Shakespeare's language, even in this simplified summary, carries weight. The play is filled with powerful imagery, like the handkerchief, which represents love, fidelity, and betrayal. Iago's speeches reveal his cunning, as he uses metaphors and half-truths to manipulate others. Othello's speeches shift from eloquent and confident to fragmented and desperate, mirroring his mental decline. Desdemona's words are often gentle and pleading, reflecting her innocence and love. These linguistic choices make the characters vivid and their emotions raw, even when retold in simpler terms. The characters themselves are richly drawn, each with distinct motivations. Othello is a man of action and honor, but his insecurities make him human. Desdemona is idealistic and loyal, yet her naivety leaves her vulnerable. Iago is a master of deception, driven by envy and a desire for control, though his true motives remain ambiguous. Emilia, though a secondary character, emerges as a voice of truth, her loyalty to Desdemona outweighing her loyalty to her husband. Cassio, while flawed, is a loyal friend whose mistakes make him a pawn in Iago's game. Roderigo's foolishness makes him a tragic figure, manipulated to his death. The play's relevance endures because it speaks to universal human experiences. Jealousy, love, and betrayal are timeless, as is the struggle to belong in a society that views you as different. Othello's story resonates with anyone who's felt like an outsider or been consumed by doubt. Iago's manipulation feels modern, like a warning about how lies and misinformation can destroy lives. Desdemona's strength in the face of injustice highlights the resilience of those who face prejudice or abuse. In reflecting on Othello, it's clear that Shakespeare crafted a story that's both specific and universal. The play is rooted in its time, with its references to Venetian society and military life, but its themes transcend those details. The tragedy lies not just in the deaths, but in how preventable they were. If Othello had trusted Desdemona, if Iago's lies had been exposed sooner, the outcome might have been different. But the play shows how human flaws, jealousy, prejudice, and manipulation can lead to destruction, even among those with the best intentions. The story's emotional impact comes from watching good people fall. Othello and Desdemona's love is real, but it's no match for Iago's cunning. The play forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about trust and how easily it can be broken. It also challenges us to think about prejudice and how it shapes perceptions, even in a society that claims to value merit. Othello's downfall is not just his own, but a reflection of the world around him, where envy and hatred can lurk beneath the surface. By the end, Othello leaves a lasting impression. It's a story of love destroyed by lies, of a hero undone by his own heart, and of a villain whose evil is all the more chilling because it's so human. The tragedy is not just in the loss of life, but in the loss of what could have been a happy marriage, a loyal friendship, a just world. Shakespeare's genius lies in making us feel that loss, even centuries later, and in showing us that the forces that brought Othello down are still part of the human experience. Please like and share the video. Subscribe the channel,